Among the Republicans running are Joe Cox, who's run before for the office, Kevin Faulconer, the former mayor of San Diego, and former Olympian Ms. Caitlyn Jenner. So it will be, needless to say, an interesting race to watch in the fall. And of course, Newsmax will be covering it. One more thing, I said the fall. Sources in California tell us that it could be as early as July or as late as December. But for the most part, the political...
8 audio Bibles and win 360 people to Christ and disciple 720 Christians. Then second, for a gift of only $30, your gift will be matched.
In that space. Hi, I'm Jane King, and thank you for watching. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies. We bring you the innovators behind the companies making the headlines in that space. Some are sponsored, some are invited, all are curated and focused on telling you, the viewers, their story. Here we go. Bradley Moore is the CEO of Global Cannabis Applications Corporation, and we look forward, Bradley, to getting an update on the company. So, and I understand you have 2 big press releases. So the first, GCAC closes the largest revenue deal for its FinxFlo C2C platform, and then also a Uniswap marketing token. So can you expand on both of those?
Sure. Well, good morning. Nice to see you again, as always. Yeah, so it's been busy. So let's start with the marketing token. So essentially what we did is we've engaged our partner, Abby Technologies, in a marketing contract to promote GCAC's fixing its QR codes for cannabis to the Uniswap market, because we not only does the Uniswap demographic love crypto, but they also love medical cannabis. Like statistically, we've seen that. And so this is kind of like one of the most efficient ways for us to get out there and be able to do it and carry the message. I can actually tell you, as of the day, there's, through the efforts, we've reached 300, there's 300 shareholders of the GCAC token. So that's 300 more eyeballs that know about what we do as a company. So that's a good start for us.
Okay. When you say marketing contract, do you mean they will be marketing your token?
No, so what GCAC did is we have not created a token. What we did is we entered into a marketing contract with Abby. And they decided to create a unit token to raise awareness GC through our corporate brand name and what FinxFlo is. So this is part of our consumer pull tech strategy to let cultivators know that we're speaking to their consumers that are using medical cannabis and teaching them what safe, efficient, effective based medical cannabis should look like.
Mm-hmm. Now, the press release states that you're adding the asset to your balance sheet. Can you explain that?
Well, yeah, sure. All we got to do is take a look at what Elon did with adding Bitcoin to his, and we're all publicly traded. So I think it's a well, we're not quite Tesla yet. We think it's a fair way to do it. So, as Elon Musk did by adding Bitcoin exposure to the Tesla balance sheet, we're adding Ethereum exposure to ours through the quarterly purchase of Ethereum-denominated GCA tokens with 1% of our revenues. This is our marketing commitment to Abby. And since the FinxFlo platform is built on Ethereum and align with Ethereum 2.0 once it launches. Actually, we're the first cannabis-related company to launch on that Ethereum 2.0 focused technology. So it only makes sense that we purchase our own GCA tokens on the Ethereum Uniswap platform using some of our marketing budget.
Mm-hmm. And also the press release states you're committing 1% of your top line earnings to marketing. So if I do the math right, this means in theory, based on your first press release, we mentioned you could add 160,000 from your Herb Industries deal next year. Am I correct?
Yeah, so that's actually why we wanted to kind of wait instead of just talking about Herb, and we wanted to actually show what the power of an actual deal would do, right? So for example, in 2021, we're looking at, like we said, 34 million grams, making roughly 38 cents a gram. You know, we're going to get ourselves into a position we get $130,000 to that liquidity pool. And that's fantastic in terms of creating that awareness and exposure. Now, when you look at 2022, which Herb's revenue falls in part of, you know, that works out to be approximately another $370,000 that we're going to put into that liquidity pool. So this is all really kind of exciting. So the model itself, the revenue drives its own marketing, which drives its own awareness, and which end up driving more revenue.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, so every deal closed is its own marketing awareness promotion. So you just talked about to this key demographic, and the value of the Uniswap token grows as GCAC builds sales revenue. Now, it seems that if the Ethereum value asset is recorded on the public balance sheet and the public share count doesn't increase, then the share price could track the increase in the assets?
Yeah, so, you know, as a Pubco CEO, I'm never here to talk about share price. That's not what I do. You know, look, our overall marketing campaign is to reach that consumer. Our overall marketing objective is to focus on carrying the fixing message to medical cannabis consumers that may click on one of our Google AdWords campaigns, or those that may be part of the Uniswap community. Cultivators, as our paying customers, need to see that by working with a fixie, they are not only on the right side of the cannabis regulators, but they can also lower their compliance costs and increase sales, all the while driving better outcomes for medical cannabis patients.
Now, we know crypto is volatile in general, and you said that the GCAC token is paired to Ethereum. So how does that crypto volatility impact the token?
So crypto, i.e. blockchain, in many cases demonstrate that you don't always need a middleman and associated regulations in the financial services vertical. The Uniswap platform is a superb example of how the Ethereum blockchain can be leveraged for use in cryptocurrency and token trading. In the cannabis industry, where there's a lack of high-quality, consumer-focused efficacy and growing data, FinxFlo's use of Ethereum actually helps to create a meaningful relationship between regulators, consumers, and cultivators by fostering a transparency and trust-based relationship by all the stakeholders. The GCAC token has one job: to tell that story to the Uniswap demographic quarter by quarter.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Brad. And thank you for the update. And I look forward to more updates as the year goes on.
Thanks, Jane.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. And Al Simon, Lily Pad Inventor Company. Tonix Pharmaceuticals has entered into an exclusive worldwide licensing agreement for its antiviral COVID inhibitor. So with me is the CEO of Tonix, Seth Letterman. Great to have you, Seth, to explain this new agreement. Give me the overview, and then we'll talk a little bit more in detail about it.
Well, thank you, Jane, and thanks for having me on. We're very excited. The COVID pandemic still rumbles on, And despite the vaccine deployments and the rest of it, many people are going to continue to contract COVID. And right now, the drugs that we have aren't enough. So we're delighted to have reached an agreement with Oyagen, a private company in Rochester, New York, run by a professor from the University of Rochester named Harold Smith, who's a worldwide leading expert on coronaviruses and RNA viruses in general. And they've developed what we are now calling TNX 3500. And they've brought it to a point where it's a perfect deal for both sides, because we will be able to bring it into clinical trials and get it tested. And they've done all of the basic science up to this point.
Okay, so describe, like, where in the coronavirus process would this come? Would this be a treatment for somebody who's infected, preventative, early in the sickness? I mean, how does it work?
Thank you. Yes, this is for someone who is at the early stage of showing symptoms. And it is similar mechanistically to Gilead's drug remdesivir, but it's different enough that Oyagen has already shown that remdesivir and TNX 3500 are additive, meaning that their mechanisms don't quite overlap. That if you put the two of them together in tissue culture, you can use lower doses of each of them and get higher killing of the virus. So in a lot of antiviral therapies, combination therapy is critical. For example, in HIV, I'm sure you've heard of drugs like Atripla and other ones, where you need to be hitting a virus at more than one point, first of all, to get more activity, but also potentially to decrease the ability of the virus to mutate away from the antiviral therapy you're giving.
Okay, and then, so when might patients be able to use this? Or I know I ask you this and it's always a little tricky, but do you have any kind of timeline at all?
Well, I mean, our near-term goal is to get it into trials. So we are rapidly going to put it into our system and make the drug product and get the application together to FDA called an IND, so that we can begin human testing. Depending on where in the cycle our initial human results will come, I think will depend on how quickly it can get out. For example, if COVID is as bad as it is today, then clearly we would consider the pathway of an emergency use authorization. If the vaccines and herd immunity bring COVID down a notch, then maybe it would go through more of a regular pathway.
Okay, and then this is just one thing you've been working on. I mean, you have a lot of other things in the pipeline too, with immunology, central nervous system therapies. Kind of explain where all of that is at this point.
Yeah, we have a lot going on. One of the very distinctive things about Tonix is that we are agnostic in terms of the type of technology underlying a therapeutic. So our products go all the way from a live virus vaccine for COVID to a protein made in CHO cells, to a protein made in E. coli, to small peptide therapeutics, to small molecules. So we cover the gamut of things. But what a year we're having. We expect to have 4 drugs in clinical trials by the end of the year in phase, 3 in phase 2 studies, 1 in phase 1. But that's in addition, I'm not even counting our treatment for fibromyalgia, which is our lead program. That is mid-phase 3, and we expect to report the interim analysis of the fibromyalgia study for TNX-102SL in Q3, and we expect to report the top-line data in the 4th quarter. Now, if that data are positive, and we think it's a good chance because this study is really a duplicate, a confirmatory study of the positive phase 3 that we reported in last year, at the end of last year, then we would be in a position to file the new drug application. So we have a number of programs that are in late clinical stage development, but they are led by 102SL for fibromyalgia.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Seth, for joining us with the update. Best of luck and congratulations on your success.
Thank you very much, Jane. Thanks for having me.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. And Al Simon, Wee Pad Inventor Company. Healixa CEO Ian Parker is back with us to talk about progress that the company has made. So Ian, great to have you back. And I guess just tell us, I mean, things seem to be picking up pace with some of your business initiatives lately.
Yes, thank you for having us back. Absolutely. The most exciting updates we have right now is that this incredible care ecosystem that we built is now going from pilot to rollout. So we currently are finalizing testing in Dallas right now with a globally recognized tech-enabled last mile application. And once we finalize this next round of testing, perhaps in the next week or two, we'll be ready to start the rollout of the digital pharmacy application to select metropolitan areas and expand into the entire nation over time. Keep in mind, I think one of the important points here is that this is one of the cornerstones of the entire care ecosystem. And once you combine that with the virtual care platform that allows doctors to connect to the patients virtually, and you now take the remote patient monitoring piece, which allows us to take the vital signs directly from the camera on your phone, you now have an entire chain of care in one complete technology stack.
Wow. And I've talked to you for a year or so, and I mean, I know what it's taken to get to this point, so I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
So it's great. So, okay, so once the rollout begins, then what next? Like what are the next steps for the company?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I would point to here is, as you probably remember, last year we signed an understanding with a healthcare benefits company that has access to about 3.5 million lives. As we move from pilot to rollout, we now start the process of beginning to convert those lives from a fragmented care environment to a seamless, complete chain of care platform. Just to sort of put that in perspective as to what that means to a health tech company like ourselves, if you look at Live On Go, for example, pre-Teladoc merger, the value of their value on the public markets was about $10 billion. They had approximately 320,000 lives in their platform. So that should help give people some perspective as to what those lives mean in the system. As we set up, to convert those lives, what's going to happen is you're going to see us quickly surpass a lot of our smaller competitors, and we're gonna put ourselves on a trajectory to start to catch some of our larger competitors. And that is, part of how we've sort of gone methodically through building shareholder value here.
Now, I also saw there was a press release about a newly formed medical advisory committee that is also helping to grow the business. So tell me about that.
Yes. So we've been referring to this as our Justice League of healthcare professionals. I am a comic fan, as you can see. Understand that these professionals have been around the company for some time, so we're formalizing this right now. They've been sort of operating in stealth mode up until this point. These are globally recognized healthcare experts. In order to build a platform this sophisticated and this robust, we needed to listen to the best in the healthcare community and make sure that we married them up to the top engineers. So if you look at the way the platform has been built, it's been built by top engineers, and at the same time, it's been designed and informed by healthcare superstars. We're going to start introducing these healthcare professionals to the market one by one, because quite frankly, each one of them deserves their own spotlight. They are an incredible group of people, and we really look forward to introducing them. I think that's also going to help the market understand how how this was created and how we're going to execute on this incredibly robust platform.
So Leslie, you mentioned the engineers. Let's talk about the tech platform. So I kind of explained from the user point of view, how will all of that work?
So you have virtual care, which is the way the doctors connect to the patients virtually. What we've done is we've combined that with remote patient monitoring. So now it's a touchless system where the user can get on the phone, they can look at the camera, and now those vital signs are being instantly transmitted back to the healthcare professional, to the clinician on the other side. That clinician can now prescribe therapies to them, and because of the fact that we have the remote patient monitoring piece, because of that, we can now expand the amount of therapies that we can prescribe virtually. So that allows us to rapidly get those therapies from the digital pharmacy to the patient. So if you look at the way that would operate, patient sees the doctor then takes the vital signs, diagnoses the issue, and then prescribes the medication. We bring it directly to your door. You now have your therapies when you need them, where you need them.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
I think the only thing I would like to add is that as we introduce these professionals that we're bringing onto the committee, I just want to say thank you to them for all the help that they provide, all the insight they provided, all the guidance they provided over time to help us build this really robust platform.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, Ian, let's have some of them on for an interview. Once you're ready to make that public, I think it'd be great to hear from them.
Absolutely. I think having a panel on would be fantastic, and they would be certainly open to it.
Good idea. Let's do it. So, all right. Thank you so much, Ian, for the update.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Al Simon Wee Pad Inventor Company. Petproducts.com is bringing all of your pet needs online, and with me is Executive Vice President Kevin Yamano to talk about spring. We're so happy. I can just tell everybody is loving spring, and there's so many dogs walking around New York right now.
Right.
But you're saying that people should know, pet owners should know some things in particular about the spring season.
Sure. I mean, everybody's excited, right, to get back outside, to see the sunshine again, get their pets outside, whether it be dogs or I've seen cats on leashes. I've seen people walking around with birds on their shoulders. Everybody's just excited to be outside. But we do want to make sure that you're taking care of your pet as the weather warms up. We want to make sure that you have proper hydration for your pet, proper nutrition for your pet, and take care of your pet, right? It's flea and tick season again. We kind of forget about that with the pandemic and everything else, but we just want to make sure you're taking care of your pet. Pet Products has a great line and assortment of all the things you need for spring for your pets, from like flea and tick stuff like I talked about before, to treats, to drinks, to everything else that you need.
Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned too that you especially like to talk to your customers, and that's something that really is missing in the online experience. I mean, you have the convenience of ordering, but if you have questions or an issue or something, it's very hard to get a hold of a person, but you have done something about that.
Yes, absolutely. As you mentioned, as people shift from kind of brick and mortar shopping to online shopping, that's one of the things that we lose is that personal experience and the ability to ask questions and to understand what it is you're buying or what's going on with your pet and try to find a solution for it. And Pet Products really tries to engage with their customers and people who have questions about anything and everything out there, whether it be our products or how to take care of your pets. We have so many different ways to engage. We just encourage people to ask the question. We love to help people. We have chat on the page. If you're on the page looking for a product, just chat with us. Click the button and chat with us. We're happy to answer your questions. You can call us. You can email us. There's even places where you can ask the community questions, right? How do you guys take care of your pets? How does this relate to what you're doing? So many ways to engage. We don't want you to feel alienated or isolated or have questions that aren't answered. Please reach out to us. We'd love to connect up with you.
Now, and for some people who maybe have bought their, pet items on Amazon or something like that, you have a coupon for people to attract them to take a look at your website. So tell me about that.
Sure, absolutely. And we do try very hard to have very competitive pricing, and that's one thing we encourage people to do, right? Come on down, kick our tires, and check out our pricing and our selection and see if it matches up with what your expectations are. But to sweeten the deal a little bit more, we have a special coupon, a 10% off coupon for people, for your viewers who want to come down and see what we have. It's 10% off. Use Spring TV on checkout. There's a little coupon box. Type in the word Spring TV, and you'll get 10% off your orders.
Okay, so petproducts.com, Spring TV.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Kevin. Great to see you again.
Jane. Thanks.
Petproducts.com, thousands of products, and Al Simon, Wee Pad Inventor Company. FinxFlo is the world's first fully regulated crypto brokerage. And with me is the CEO, James Gillingham, to explain exactly what this means all the way from Singapore. So great to be talking to you on the other side of the world. And James, if you could just explain your background and what is FinxFlo all about?
So I had a very unconventional start to life. I left school at the age of 16 years old to pursue a career as a professional soccer player or football player for my English fans. After getting injured, I then pursued a career in financial services. So I moved into the traditional world of finance. I was a trader. I was trading Forex. I then went to help manage a $4 billion fund of hedge funds. Whilst I was there, I started to develop my own fully automated trading algos. After real good success there, I then created my own company, my own business. And that was when I actually employed one of my first staff at that particular company. And he introduced me into Bitcoin back in 2013. So that was a very, very interesting foray for the first kind of time for me to move into the digital asset space. Then after Jagero, the fully automated algorithmic company, I essentially sold it. Then I moved on. Then I was creating a bunch of different brokerages. I fell out of love with crypto because of what happened in 2013 and the exchange that I was trading on at that time. It was hacked, and I ended up losing those funds. And I thought, oh, this is a scam. So I actually didn't trade at all in crypto until 2017. And then I started to trade in crypto. I was still running some FX brokerages and things like that. And then I came up with the idea for FinxFlo around 2 years ago. And then we started operating a brokerage that's running today.
Okay, well, what an interesting kind of path that took you here. And 2013, that was really early in the Bitcoin world. I think it was about 2017 when I started to get interested. So, which feels like it's been a while. So then how did the idea of FinxFlo come to you?
So, to be honest, after the issues of 2013, 2014, I was very skeptical, right? So I was one of these skeptical people, and especially being in the more traditional world of finance, I was like, oh, it's a scam, it's a fake, it's to pay for nefarious activity, right? It's not something that I want to be involved with. It took me a number of years to kind of get over that kind of experience. And then in 2017, as I say, I started to trade, and being a traditional FX trader, I like to be able to get global liquidity. So I essentially opened up a bunch of exchange accounts, but it was very, very difficult to be able to do that because I had to open up all these accounts with KYC, AML, and then you log in, and then you're looking at 4 or 5 screens, and you're looking around to try and see whatever the best possible price is, because I'm an intraday trader. So after that kind of headache and pain, I was like, there must be an aggregator, there must be a brokerage where I can log into one account and have multiple pools of liquidity or exchanges that are plugged into one venue, essentially. I kind of searched, I looked, I couldn't find any. So then I kind of contacted my buddy and ex-working colleague, Tonix TNXP, and I said to him, hey, can you build this? Like, from a technical standpoint. So yeah, we then went about building and developing the actual trading platform that is now been built and developed today to be able to help traders gain access to much better pricing, much better security, and just ensure that we are adding a lot of benefit to lots of people's lives who are trading crypto.
Yeah. Well, and one thing you mentioned was about the hack and how you felt like, there was, and we still hear that even from economic officials, that Bitcoin is used for terrorist activities and drug things. And, so, I mean, how did you become comfortable that crypto was legit, and how do you make sure FinxFlo is operating as it should?
Sure. So FinxFlo, what we've really concentrated on is kind of a new age technology, right? So there's lots of various different partners that we now have, which is like KYT, which is Know Your Transaction. So we ensure that we're able to track the blockchain. Many people, many governments to begin with didn't really understand distributed ledgers or blockchain technology. So they, of course, they would turn around and say, hey, it's used for a lot of nefarious activity, right? However, when you actually delve in, when everything is on the blockchain itself, it's fully trackable, it's fully traceable. So KYT providers are out there. We're able to see, even if there are wallets that transfer into our platform, we're able to see up to 6-7 steps away. So we're able to see exactly how many transactions and how many wallets have been involved, and if somebody's trying to wash their cash, we will essentially freeze their assets as per the regulators and the regulations and government jurisdictions. We will freeze them, and then we will have to report an SAR, which is a standardized report, to the regulator until they tell us, or the government, and then they actually tell us, okay, you can either unfreeze or you allow them to continue with their activities. So actually, if you delve into FinxFlo and the overall structure, the way that the crypto world is actually changing, it's a lot safer than the more traditional fiat world.
Interesting. So you've solved the problem of security and best price and regulation. I mean, are there any other problems that you're solving for crypto traders?
Yeah, so normally for larger traders, for instance, if you're executing a large trade, okay, what normally happens when you're trading through one venue, like a tier 1 exchange, what happens is the top of book, let's say that right now, which Bitcoin is at all-time highs at $64,000, right? So let's assume that to buy it from USDT into Bitcoin is 64,000. Now, second on the order book would probably be 64,100, 64,200, 64,300. So what we class that as is slippage. So you get a much worse price, whereas what we do, we aggregate multiple pools of liquidity. So essentially we go across all the various different venues, getting a much better average price for the larger traders. So we slice up their larger orders and we place them carefully into all liquidity providers, so we get 64, 64, 64.1, 64.2, etc. So you get a much better average price. Now for the retail individuals, what we're able to do is, because we've negotiated with all the underlying exchanges, we actually get a much better price for all crypto transactions, because we've already negotiated up to 60, 70, 80% savings on transactional costs, because we're putting a lot of margin, we're putting a lot of funds in. So it means that the retail investor and the institutional investor that's trading the larger amounts and the smaller amounts get much better average pricing just by plugging into us.
Okay, interesting business model. So now, do you have partnerships or those that are developing partnerships?
Yeah, so this week we've actually announced one of our first liquidity providers, which is Crypto.com. We have a number of other tier 1, tier 2 exchanges, as well as the OTC market making desks. So we really give accessibility to retail and institutional traders to something that they can't access really themselves. They would have to sign up to multiple accounts, multiple venues. We do all that heavy lifting. They come to one account, one process, straight through us. We've also through our offices, we have an office here, as you mentioned, in Singapore, have an office with you in New York, We have another office that we're opening in California in May, and we have another office in Cyprus for our European entity. Now, we also partnered, but we're gaining regulations globally. So in New York, we have the broker-dealer SEC license. In Cyprus, we have the CISEC license, which gives us accessibility to 27 member states. And here in Singapore, we have the Singapore regulator and the NAS and the oversight from this regulator. So we have partnerships there. And then, of course, the normal other partnerships, which is like custodial, like on-chain, Fireblocks. These are our other kind of super close partners that we're working with to ensure security is paramount.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. So plans to expand? I mean, it sounds like you're already global, but what are your plans for the rest of 2021?
So 2021 is to finalize all of the regulations globally. We're hiring quite rapidly. In fact, there's a lot of pressure on our TA team, our talent acquisition. We're really trying to find real good talent. So we're trying to grow extremely fast because, as we mentioned earlier on, we are the world's first. So considering that we're the world's first, we need to kind of move very, very quickly and swiftly in our domain in order to ensure that we have the competitive advantage. So we're expanding still super fast globally. By the end of this year, we're actually launching the platform. So the platform will be live on the 3rd of May. We open up the taps for the first week of June. So we're hoping that by the end of this year, we should have about 100,000 active traders globally. We have various different ways of obtaining those with marketing and other areas. But yeah, we have extreme amounts of growth. We're going to go from a headcount of about 40 up to about 150 within the next year.
Wow. Okay. Busy. It sounds like you got a busy few months ahead of you. So thank you, James. Fascinating to hear about the NextFlo, and I look forward to an update later on this year.
Sounds great. Pleasure speaking to you. Take care.
Petproducts.com. Thousands of products, an Alcyon and EV pad inventor company. NativeCoin is creating a cryptocurrency that will be used in tribal businesses, casinos, and online gaming platforms. And with me to explain more about what NativeCoin is doing and an update is the president of the company, Randy Williams. So Randy, great to see you again.
Well, Jim, thank you for having us.
Yes, look forward to an update here. So I guess a quick, just kind of tell us quickly what NativeCoin is doing and give me a little bit of your bio.
Well, I'm the president of NativeCoin, Clinket and Loto. I'm a product of the boarding school. My parents both went to Haskell boarding school, so it's an interesting aspect of the history of Native people. Who a lot of them went to the boarding schools. And that's sort of my background. I'm the president of NativeCoin right now, and we're moving forward with the coin. So we're real excited about that, and real happy to be on your show. So thank you very much.
Well, now the last time we talked, there were some things in the works. So, and that was a few months ago. So can you give me any update about the progress you made or where you are with some of your projects?
Well, we listed, and we're on exchanges now. That's real exciting. You can go to our website, nativecoin.com, and look for the exchanges that we're on. We also have talked to several tribes, and that's real exciting because we've talked to tribes about putting in the ATM kiosk on their reservation and in their casinos as well. So those are kind of the exciting things that NativeCoin is doing. We just had a meeting the other day, and we were talking about the NFTs, right, and how that will impact the Native community, and how we can support the Native community with that. That's a strong.
That's really interesting. What kind of things? How do you think that might be able to be applied?
Well, native artisans, of course, are localized, right? And so if we can create an opportunity, a world's market for them, I mean, that just expands their buying base just tremendously. I mean, it's just so exciting for that to happen. But not only that, we look at it as an opportunity to create opportunities for the language to be preserved, because we can preserve their language, we can preserve their history, their spoken history. We can preserve their art, we can preserve a lot of things that tribes may have a difficult time keeping in today's fast society, and it'll always be there for them. And so those are the things that we look to do. I mean, we're just not just here to develop the coin and make money. We actually want to give back to the communities that we're going to serve, so to speak, and the Native community certainly is that community in which we want to support.
Yeah, that NFT could be a really interesting application for you. So we'll do an update on that later in the year once things get on. And you've also got, speaking of giving back, you've got a new foundation, right? So what's that about?
Well, that's just about, we look at what we can do for the communities, right? And some tribes do very well with their casinos, and they have the opportunity to provide very good support for their tribal members. Other tribes don't have casinos, and I know Alaska, so I'll just take a minute to talk about that. There are over 200 tribes up here that don't have casinos. There are no casinos in the state except for one on one reservation, because the tribes in Alaska don't have reservations, so they don't have the opportunity to create that kind of income that reservation tribes do. Other tribes down south in the lower 48, they don't have casinos as well. And so we created a foundation that will have the opportunity to support those tribes economically, where if a tribal member says, I would like to start a business, we want to support that. If a tribal member wants to go to college, we want to support that. Those are the things that we're looking at supporting for tribes. There's a lot of tribes that have medical clinics on them now, and so, we would like to support a scholarship for doctors and nurses, because they're so often we go to these clinics and they're not tribal members, they're non-tribal members, because the medical industry is not necessarily one that tribes have gone into very much, and so we hope to create an opportunity for them to come back to their reservations as doctors, as nurses. But it's not just limited to that. Of course, the scholarship would be available to other people for other things. The tribal members certainly have the need for a lot of expertise, and we hope to help to create that with their people.
Now, you mentioned Native Coin was listed now, so where can people follow the coin's progress?
Well, I would suggest that they go to nativecoin.com and look at the exchanges we're on, and then just follow them on those exchanges. There's other exchanges that we're working to be placed with right now, and so that's where they can go and find out more about Native Coin and the exchanges, and follow us on those exchanges.
Yeah. Now, people think, especially with all the kind of shiny casinos and businesses that are going on in the Native American community, there's a lot of wealth there, but what's the case? What's the economic truth?
Well, the economic truth is that there is. In the larger casinos, in the larger communities, like I'm in a Seattle area too, and you've got Muckleshoot Casino and the Puyallup Casino and the Toledo casinos, which are the three, and Snohomish, which are the four big casinos. And then after that, you've got areas where there are limited population bases, and of course they don't receive the same kind of income that those large casinos receive. And that's across the United States. And you can go to Lakota country or up in North and South Dakota, and they don't have an opportunity to create large casinos because there's no real big population basis for them to draw from. And so they don't have an opportunity to create the same kind of income that the large casinos have. And so that's where we want to step in and see where we can provide some support for those kind of tribes that don't have the same economic opportunities as much. Well, it's a wealth gap, let's face it, right? It's everybody talks about a wealth gap. Well, there certainly is in tribes even, right? The big tribes are doing very well with their casinos, and that's good. That's a good business for them. And some tribes have casinos and it's moderate, and then other tribes don't. But there's based on a grant-based economy where they get money from the government, and that's basically how they survive. It creates employment for their people and some opportunities for services, but that's it.
Yeah, no, this sounds like a very interesting conference. So, thank you, Randy, for joining. I look forward to updates as the year goes on, now with the listing and the NFT possibility as well. It should be an exciting year for you.
Yeah, it should be real exciting, and we're always happy to talk to you and have the opportunity to speak to you because you offer so much to the cryptocurrency world, and we thank you for that.
Yeah, well, thank you, and good to hear from you. Petproducts.com. Thousands of products. An Allison and Lily Pad Inventor Company. NFTs, non-fungible tokens, could be the key to collectibles. Now, previously, you never really knew if something was authentic, but NFTs use the blockchain to allow you to be able to do that. You can get some kind of digital certificate that helps you know what you're buying is truly what it says it is. So with me is Joel Comm. He is the co-host of the Bad Crypto podcast and the NIFTY show, and also Travis Wright, who is also the co-host of the podcast and the NIFTY show as well. So great to have you guys here. This will be fun.
I'm the co-host.
You're the co-hostess. I'm the other guy.
You're the co-hostess with the mostest.
Okay, well, I am the host of the show, so let's get it going. Okay, so Joel, let's start with this. Why have NFTs gained so much traction? I mean, I have people asking me, what are they? It's still a mystery. Of course, Beeple made a huge splash. Why do you think they finally kind of gotten the public's attention?
People have always been super fond of collectibles. We've been collecting things since, the beginning of time, and especially in this last century, Topps baseball cards have been going on for well over half a century, and, since that time, if you look at the marketplace, we've collected just about everything and anything. I know I have, and digital collectibles offer a new way of collecting things that are interesting to you. First of all, they don't take up space. They don't get lost. They don't degrade over time. They can't be set on fire or have water damage. And because they're on blockchain, non-fungible tokens are fully trackable. Each one is completely unique.
So, Travis, Beeple was like $70 million. There's been a few other things along the way. I saw, was it Edward Snowden said something like $5 million in NFT recently. So, but there's also been kind of a little bit of waning interest. Like a lot of people got on board. Do you think we're in a bubble, or maybe like the early days of a bubble and it'll come back? And how do you see the market, Travis?
Well, I think we just reached the first hype cycle of NFTs, right? Maybe the second. The first time we saw was with CryptoKitties when it launched back in 2017. CryptoPunks, that launched in 2017. That was the beginning of this. And Joel and I have been paying attention to this space since then. And we know that it's going to be just ginormous. And I think what we're seeing is the beginning of the bubble for the artwork on Ethereum. And there's a lot of what some people call the cantillionaires of Ethereum who got in on Ethereum when it was 5 cents during their initial coin offering, and they have more Ethereum than they know what to do with. And so they're like, hey, let's buy some of this art. And some of those big art pieces, like that Beeple $69 million one, that was bought by like a VC firm kind of group, right? And so I think that was a kind of a PR move. mean, $69 million for a bunch of pixels on the screen, it seems a little over. And a lot of these seem like they're cash grabs, right? You see artists coming out and they're selling just a couple of NFTs and they're trying to get a few $1 million from just a couple of fans, and they're really agitating their whole fan base, right? Kings of Leon did this thing where they were launching like, here's a $1,000 NFT, here's a $5,000 NFT, and then if you want to buy this one NFT, it's $50, but if you want to transfer it, then it's going to cost you like another $70 worth of gas fees just to transfer it. So Ethereum is really not the place for NFTs. We think, I mean, there's much better chains out there that are built specifically for NFTs, like Wax, which we are on the Wax Advisory Council. It's just, you can mint 1,000 NFTs for $1, right? And the cost is very low. It's very green. There's no environmental issues with it. So I think the question is there a bubble happening? Well, like that first sort of initial, whoa, this is so exciting, let's buy them all up for millions. That's going to end. Those cash grabs are going to end, and we're going to start seeing, you know, a better, more and better use cases for NFTs as we move along.
Well, no doubt about it. I mean, the Beeple one was what thrust NFTs into the spot. I mean, I was at a party Saturday night. People were talking about it and trying to get into it. And so you mentioned the blockchain. So you mentioned Ethereum, not the best. So that was interesting. And you mentioned Wax. Can you expand on that a little bit more? How do you spell it? How do you find it?
Yeah, so the Wax blockchain is a fork of EOS, and basically this code base is incredibly fast. Your transactions are instant, and there are no gas fees whatsoever. The trading symbol is WaxP for people who look for it on the markets, but their official website is wax.io, and people can set up a Wax wallet in 30 seconds. Travis mentioned we are on the Wax Advisory Council, but we only got invited to the council after we used the chain and did several successful launches of our own. They saw how we used to create our own digital collectibles, and then they invited us to the council as a result of that.
Okay. So now, Travis, I mean, what do you look for when considering an NFT purchase? I mean, have you done many? I mean, what's been your experience?
Well, I think on a lot of these, you know, it depends on which blockchain that it's on, right? I bought a few on Ethereum just because of the gas fees. There's been some that I like. I mean, there was one by Boss Logic that is just my favorite NFT of all time. It's one of Kobe Bryant. It's called Forever Mamba. That was on NIFTY Gateway, and they originally sold for like $800, and I would say I paid about 5 or 6 times more than that because I really wanted that NFT. It's unbelievable. Now, there's other blockchains like Flow. Flow is a blockchain that NBA Top Shots is transitioning over to. It was originally, CryptoKitties was originally on Ethereum. They realized the gas fees were killing their business, so they went and created their own blockchain called Flow. Now NBA Top Shots is on Flow. There's another one out there called Phantasma Chain, which a lot of gaming, projects are being built on that. I have some NFTs on that. I have a bunch of NBA Top Shots that I've acquired. Enjin, ENJIN is another one. They're actually one of the highest rated market cap for an NFT project, Enjin. I have some on there. I have a lot on Wax. And so it just depends on, is the project cool? A lot of times, I kind of look at, on Wax, they have this mechanism where you can create packs. And so you create these Wax packs, and you can open them or you cannot open them. And so a lot of times I will hold those packs and not open them, wait until the market will go and open up 60-70% of them, and then it turns out a lot of times those packs are worth 2, 3, 5, 10 times what you originally paid for them. And so you don't know what's in a pack, right? You can get a really amazing card, you can get really just a vanilla pack where there's nothing cool in it. So I think, what do I look at? Is it cool? Is it interesting? Is it something that I'm excited about? Does it maybe have some long-term value that I maybe want to hold with other people? Is there a big community for it? And if so, then maybe I'm going to snag a few packs to sell them later on.
Yeah, now it sounds very similar to how we collect things now. I think it's the same philosophy. So Joel, where do you think NFTs go from here?
I think they're going to be absolutely huge. I think, as Travis said, we are coming through the first hype cycle, and we're starting to see a pullback in terms of prices for the art. I'm not an art critic, I don't aspire to be one, but there's more and more artists that are finding an outlet for their work. And Some of them are going to do really well if they get into the right marketplaces that will promote them. Some of them are going to end up disillusioned and say, well, NFTs don't work. Some of their prices on the secondary market are going to be below what people paid for them, because when people follow hype, they always throw money, too much money at it, hoping that they can turn it into more. Those aren't necessarily true collectors. Those are flippers. Those are opportunists. But if you look at the world around you, you'll see that there are fans for just about every single musician, band, film, TV show, comedian, brand, all of these, no matter what the hype is for any other product, the moment your favorite brand or artist releases NFTs, you're going to be interested. And so depending upon the quality of what they release, then we'll see if their fans are excited about that. You know, one of Travis's favorite football team is the Kansas City Chiefs, living there. And Patrick Mahomes released some really exclusive NFTs. Very high price. You had to spend at least $2,500 to get it, but they were really nice. Right around the same time, Rob Gronkowski released his NFTs, and they were extremely subpar. They couldn't even come close to touching the quality of the Mahomes NFTs, and yet they did over $2 million in sales. I think since then, we've seen others go, oh, I'm going to do this too, or I'm going to make my own NFTs, and they don't sell like Mahomes or Gronk's, and that's because people are going to be fatigued from spending a lot of money. Let's reach the fans and create some low-price NFT experiences that anyone can enjoy. And I think that's how we onboard more people into the space, and it will happen.
You know, add on to that is I would say it's much better to delight 1 million of your fans at $5 to $10, $20 than it is to delight 100 of your fans and make $2 million. Because then you just have 100 happy fans that are already rich and already have those club level seats anyway. Why are you catering to them whenever the regular Joe guy wants to participate in this? Give them an opportunity and be more inclusive and less exclusive with your cash grabs and open it up for more people. It's way better.
Well, that's kind of the whole philosophy behind blockchain anyway. It's like democratize the financial experience, the system. So, okay, so I want each of you to weigh in on this. Travis, we'll start with you first. What are some of the best NFT collections that people haven't heard of?
Well, you know what? That's one thing I think is interesting about Wax is that most of the projects that are on the top of Wax are independent projects that have leveraged and built their own communities. And so, you know, there's some, I think the number one at the top of the list is Alien Worlds. Alien Worlds has done a phenomenal job with building out their cards and building out a world, building out a game. We can actually take your NFTs and stake them and then earn this token called TLM. And then it just happened that token, the TLM, ended up on some exchanges, and now it's worth like 30, 40 cents. And people were earning this just by staking their NFTs. That's phenomenal. Cogs is another one that has been really huge on Wax. Bitcoin Origins as well. And then to toot our own horns, we've created a new series called Blockchain Heroes at bcheroes.com, and we've minted almost 1 million NFTs so far. And we've created this whole set around, you know, who are some of the top people in blockchain. We made them into heroes, and then we took the principles of blockchain and the principles of centralized media and some of the big controlling organizations. We turned them into metaphors and made cards out of them, distributed them via PAX systems, and we've had a lot of fun with that, right, Joel?
It's been fantastic, and Travis is right, most of the brands that have gone really big on Wax are the independents. You know, they found a home for this. However, as of this recording, Major League Baseball is launching their NFTs on Tuesday the 20th, and that's expected to be really big. On Wax, you know, when we've seen the success of NBA Top Shot, which of course everybody who's following NFTs has heard of by now, MLB is one of the most anticipated series because baseball cards is kind of where it all started, you know, with collectibles, and now with them going digital, I think all eyes are on that.
Thank you so much, Travis and Joel. We're going to do this regularly, right? Is this every month? We're going to be chatting about this?
As long as you bring cookies.
Milk and cookies, I'm always about that. And donuts, that's always key too. Okay, so every month I'm going to give updates on NFTs. It's a very fast changing, it'll be on Newsmax show, and I'm really looking forward to this. This will be a great learning experience.
Thanks, Jane.